My girlfriend shared, relationship status, settling until something better comes along. I updated mine to say, relationship status, no longer settling. Then, while she was at work, I packed up all her things. I am 29, work in IT support for a regional hospital network, and live in a mid-sized city in the Midwest. My days are structured and predictable. I am usually up at 6, at my desk by 8, home by 5:30. I like routines, and I pay my bills on time. I rent a 2-bedroom apartment close to downtown because I prefer being able to walk places instead of driving everywhere. My girlfriend, Jenna, is 27. We have been together for a little over 2 years, and she moved into my apartment about 9 months ago when her lease ended. We split utilities, but the lease and most of the furniture are in my name because I had the place first. For most of our relationship, I would have described Jenna as blunt and ambitious. She works in marketing for a small startup and talks a lot about networking, leveling up, and not getting stuck. I respected that. I am not flashy, but I am stable, and I thought that balance worked for us. Over the last few months, though, her tone shifted. She started making little comments about how some of her coworkers dated guys with better cars or higher titles. Nothing direct, just observations framed as jokes. I addressed it early and told her I did not appreciate being compared to people I had never met. She said I was being insecure and that I needed thicker skin. The real issue started last weekend. Jenna is active on social media in a way I am not. I keep my profiles mostly private and rarely post. She posts daily. On Saturday night, while she was in the shower, my phone buzzed with a message from a mutual friend asking if everything was okay between us. That was the first hint that something had shifted publicly before it shifted privately. I had not argued with her that day. We had eaten takeout and watched a show. From my perspective, things were normal. Apparently, they were not normal online. I opened the message and asked what she meant. My friend sent a screenshot. It was Jenna's Facebook status update from earlier that evening. She had changed it from in a relationship to a custom line that said relationship status settling until something better comes along. It had a little laughing emoji at the end, like that made it cute instead of cruel. At first I thought it had to be some inside joke with her friends that I was not in on. Then I saw the comments. A couple of her coworkers were hyping her up with stuff like know your worth and do not let a mediocre man hold you back. One guy I have met once wrote something like facts. Jenna replied with a heart. Another friend asked if she was talking about me, and Jenna responded with a shrug emoji and a line about keeping her options open. My stomach dropped, but I did not spiral. I took a screenshot for myself. Then I put my phone down and waited for her to come out of the shower. I did not want to confront her while heated because I knew exactly how she would frame it. She loves turning anything into you are being dramatic. Stop acting like a victim. You are controlling. When she walked out, she was in a towel, scrolling her own phone like nothing happened. I told her I got a message from a friend and asked why she changed her relationship status. She barely looked up. She said it was a joke and that I needed to relax. I told her the joke was that she was publicly saying she was settling for me. She rolled her eyes and said I was proving her point by acting needy. I asked her to explain what point that was. She said she did not want to be with someone who took everything personally, and that in her world people post stuff all the time. She added that if I wanted a girlfriend who worshipped me, I should date someone insecure and boring. I told her there is a difference between not being worshipped and being disrespected. She said respect is earned and that I had gotten comfortable. Then she listed things that were not even real issues. Like I do not take her to enough fancy places, my job is stable, but not impressive, I do not push her to be better. She said she was young and not trying to lock in a life that felt average. That word average hit me because it was so loaded, like I was a placeholder she could upgrade from. I asked her straight up if she meant what she posted. She shrugged again and said she meant she was not going to settle forever and that I should be grateful she was being honest instead of cheating. Then she smiled like she had won something. I am not proud of this part, but I laughed. Not because it was funny. It was just the clearest moment of the entire relationship. She had said the quiet part out loud. I was a temporary solution, a safe address, a stable paycheck, a guy who paid rent on time while she kept her options open. I did not yell. I did not beg. I told her I needed to think and went for a walk around the block. That is something I do when I feel my temper rising. I would rather take 10 minutes alone than say something I cannot walk back. On that walk, I replayed the last few months in my head. The comments about her coworkers' boyfriends. The way she would suddenly be too tired to come to my work events, but somehow had energy for networking mixers. The times she joked that if she ever met a founder before he made it big, she would lock that down early. I had brushed it off as ambition. Now it felt more like shopping. When I got back, she was on the couch, posting stories. I sat down and told her calmly that I was not okay with being described publicly as someone she was settling for. I said if she genuinely felt that way, then we should not be together. I was not interested in convincing someone to value me. She said I was overreacting and that everyone settles to some degree, that relationships are about compromise. Then she added that if I had more drive, she would not feel like she was settling. She framed it like a performance review. I asked her directly if she wanted to break up. She said no, because I was stable and good to her. She said I treated her well and she liked living here. She just did not want to feel stuck. That word again. So I told her something simple. If you believe you are settling, you are free to leave. I am not holding you here. She did not respond to that. She just looked annoyed, like I was making things inconvenient. That night, I did not touch her. I did not argue further. I went to bed and thought about logistics. The lease is in my name. Most of the furniture is mine. She has her own savings and a job. There was no reason for either of us to be trapped. The next morning, she acted normal. Kissed me on the cheek before work like nothing had happened. That was when I realized she thought this would blow over. It did not. On Monday at work, I kept thinking about how casually she had said she was settling. It was not emotional. It was strategic, like she was keeping a rental car until she found something newer. I do not take humiliation well, especially not public humiliation. But more than that, I do not stay where I am not wanted. During my lunch break, I checked her profile again. The status was still up. More comments had rolled in. One of her friends asked if she was manifesting an upgrade. Jenna replied with something about not closing doors too early. She was enjoying the attention. That was the moment I stopped debating and made a decision. I did not text her. I did not threaten. I did not post anything dramatic. I simply updated my own relationship status to say relationship status no longer settling. No emojis. No explanation. Within 10 minutes, my phone started buzzing. A couple of mutual friends messaged asking what was going on. I responded with a simple line that Jenna and I were reassessing. I did not insult her. I did not argue online. Then I called my landlord to confirm what I already knew. The lease is solely in my name. I asked what the proper procedure would be if a cohabiting partner needed to move out. He said since she is not on the lease, I could ask her to leave, but I needed to give reasonable written notice. That was fair. I also checked our shared expenses. Utilities are in my name. Internet is in my name. She transfers me her portion each month. There was no financial entanglement beyond that. No shared bank account. No pets. No joint purchases that could not be divided easily. By the time I got home that evening, I was calm. Not angry. Clear. She walked in an hour later and immediately noticed my updated status. She did not greet me. She just asked what my problem was. I told her I was simply being honest, just like she said she was. If she was settling, I was too, and I was no longer interested in that arrangement. She said I was being petty and trying to embarrass her. I pointed out that she introduced the concept publicly first. I was just responding. She asked if I was breaking up with her over a joke. I told her I was breaking up with her over the mindset behind the joke. She laughed again, but it sounded tighter this time. She said I would regret throwing away something stable over my ego. I told her stability is not the same as mutual respect. Then I told her she had 24 hours to pack her essentials and find somewhere else to stay. I explained that since the lease and utilities are in my name, I was within my rights to end the living arrangement immediately. I said I would box the rest of her belongings carefully and coordinate a pickup time within the week, but she would not be staying here anymore. She stared at me like I had just spoken a different language. For a second, I thought she might actually process what I said and shift gears. Instead, she laughed again, but this time it was sharper. She asked if I was serious. I told her I do not make housing decisions as a bluff. I reminded her that she made it clear she was not invested long-term. I am not going to continue sharing a space with someone who openly says they are waiting for an upgrade. She tried to pivot. She said I was being extreme and that normal couples fight and move on. I told her this was not a fight about dishes or schedules. This was about how she publicly defined our relationship. Then she switched tactics. She said she cannot just find somewhere in 24 hours. I told her I was not expecting her to secure a lease overnight. I told her to call a friend, book a short-term rental, stay with family. She has options. She is not financially dependent on me. I also told her I would transfer back the utilities she already paid for this month to keep it clean. That is when she got mean. She said I would never do better than her, that women like her do not stay single long, and that I was throwing away someone out of my league. She said my stable life was boring and that I would be alone in this apartment wondering why I could not keep a woman with ambition. I listened without interrupting. When she finished, I told her calmly that anyone who thinks they are out of my league is welcome to leave it. I did not raise my voice. I did not insult her back. I simply repeated that she had until tomorrow evening to pack essentials. I told her I would sleep in the second bedroom and we would keep interaction minimal. She accused me of trying to control her narrative. I told her there is no narrative. There is just a consequence. Around midnight, she started calling friends. I could hear fragments through the wall. Words like unbelievable and insecure and controlling. She did not mention the status she posted. At least not loudly. I did not correct her. I did not defend myself to anyone that night. I had screenshots. I had clarity. That was enough. By morning, she was packing a suitcase. The apartment felt quieter already. By the next evening, she had packed 2 suitcases and a few tote bags. She moved slower than necessary, like she was expecting me to cave at the last minute. I did not. I stayed in the second bedroom most of the day and only came out when she asked logistical questions. She kept trying to reopen the argument. She said I was punishing her over words. I told her words matter, especially when they reflect belief. She said everyone exaggerates online. I reminded her she doubled down in the comments. Around 5, one of her friends pulled up outside. I helped carry her larger suitcase to the car. Not to be nice. To keep things efficient. There was no scene. No yelling in the parking lot. Just awkward silence and her friend pretending not to stare at me. Before she got in the car, she said this was a mistake and that I would text her in a week apologizing. I told her I would not. When she left, I locked the door and sat down at the kitchen table. The apartment felt different. Not empty, just settled. The first thing I did was gather the rest of her belongings into boxes. Clothes from the closet, makeup from the bathroom, shoes from the hallway rack. I labeled everything clearly. I took photos of the condition of the items and the boxes. Not because I expected drama, but because I prefer documentation. Then I changed the Wi-Fi password and logged out of every streaming service on the TV. After that, I sat down with my phone. I blocked her number. Not muted. Blocked. I removed her from every social media platform. I also adjusted my privacy settings so mutual friends could not tag me in posts without approval. Within minutes, I saw missed calls attempt to come through before the block fully registered. Then a message notification popped up from an unknown number. It was her. She wrote that blocking her was childish, that adults communicate, that I was proving her point about insecurity. I blocked that number too. I am not interested in a drawn-out back and forth. She already communicated clearly when she announced she was settling. I responded clearly when I said I was not. There is nothing left to debate. I sent her one final email, strictly logistical. I told her she could pick up the remaining boxes Saturday between noon and 2. I would leave them with the front desk. After that, any further contact would need to be about mail or unresolved bills. Then I closed my laptop. Silence is underrated. Saturday came faster than I expected. I had boxed everything neatly and stacked it by the door Friday night. I also made a quick inventory list on my phone. Nothing dramatic, just item categories and estimated counts. Shoes 12 pairs. Dresses 9. 2 small kitchen appliances she brought when she moved in. I did not want any future claim that I withheld something. Around 11:30, the building concierge texted to confirm she had called ahead. I told him the boxes would be labeled with her name and that she could collect them between noon and 2 as stated. I was not planning to be downstairs for the handoff. I do not believe in reopening doors that are already closed. At 12:15, my phone buzzed with an email notification. She wrote that I was being cold and that after 2 years I at least owed her a face-to-face conversation. I did not respond. The logistics had already been handled. Emotional debriefs are for relationships that end in confusion. This one ended in clarity. Through the window, I saw her car pull up. She came inside with the same friend from earlier in the week. I stayed upstairs. I heard the elevator, then muted voices in the hallway. 10 minutes later, it was quiet again. At 1:45, I received another email. This one was less composed. She accused me of trying to humiliate her. She said mutual friends were asking questions and that my updated status made her look bad. She claimed I escalated things publicly. That part almost made me laugh. She set the stage. I just refused to play the supporting role. I replied once, briefly. I told her I did not comment on her character online. I did not share screenshots. I did not insult her publicly. I simply corrected my own status to reflect my decision. If that created discomfort, it was because of what she posted first. Then I added one more line. I said, "Do not contact me again unless it concerns mail or outstanding bills. Any further attempts to argue will be ignored." After sending that, I archived the conversation and set a filter to route her emails to a separate folder automatically. Not because I was angry, because I value my peace. By Sunday morning, the apartment felt completely reset. Her side of the closet was empty. The bathroom shelf was clear. There was no background tension in the air. For the first time in months, the space felt like mine again. By Monday, the social fallout started surfacing. I do not post much, but people talk. A mutual friend from college called me during my lunch break and asked what actually happened. He said Jenna told a few people that I kicked her out because I could not handle a joke and that I spiraled over nothing. I kept it simple. I told him she publicly described our relationship as her settling until something better came along. I told her if that was how she felt, she was free to find better. I chose not to be an interim option. He was quiet for a second and then said that sounded different from what she told him. I said that is why I do not rely on other people to manage my narrative. Later that afternoon, another message came through from a mutual friend. This time it was a screenshot of Jenna's new post. She wrote something vague about how some men are threatened by ambitious women and cannot handle being challenged. There were a lot of supportive comments underneath. I did not engage. I did not respond publicly, but I did take a screenshot and save it with the others. Not because I plan to use them, because I prefer documentation over emotion. That evening, an unknown number called twice. I did not answer. A voicemail came through from her sister asking if I would reconsider and at least let Jenna stay another week while she figured out housing. The tone suggested I had thrown her out into the street. I checked her social media again. She was posting from a friend's apartment, out at dinner, smiling. This was not someone in crisis. This was someone inconvenienced. I called her sister back and kept it factual. I told her Jenna had a full day to pack essentials, access to savings, and multiple friends in the city. I told her I refunded her share of the utilities and that the rest of her belongings were safely returned. I said I was not reconsidering. The relationship ended when she publicly declared she was waiting for better. Her sister sighed and said Jenna can be dramatic. That was the closest anyone had come to acknowledging reality. That night, I realized something important. I was not angry anymore. I was not even hurt. I was relieved. It is exhausting being evaluated like a temporary contract. Now I was off the performance review. About a week after she moved out, the noise peaked. A mutual acquaintance sent me a direct message asking if I really kicked Jenna out over a Facebook status. The phrasing alone told me the simplified version had spread. I asked what exactly he had heard. He said she told people I became controlling, demanded access to her accounts, and gave her an ultimatum because I was insecure about her success. That is when I understood her strategy. If she could frame me as fragile, then her original post looked like harmless humor. If I was unstable, then her keeping options open looked justified. I did not defend myself publicly. Instead, I sent him the screenshot of her original status and one of her replies where she mentioned not closing doors too early. I did not add commentary. I let the text speak for itself. He responded with one word. Oh. Over the next few days, 2 more people reached out privately. Same pattern. I shared the same screenshots. I never posted them publicly. I did not tag her. I did not retaliate. I simply corrected misinformation when asked directly. Jenna tried contacting me again from a different number. This time the message was softer. She said she missed what we had and that maybe she phrased things badly. She claimed she was just venting about pressure from work and that I overcorrected instead of supporting her. I read it once and did not respond. There is a difference between a mistake and a mindset. A mistake is misspeaking and apologizing immediately. A mindset is doubling down in the comments and calling your partner average to their face. I blocked the new number. A few days later, I noticed she changed her relationship status again. This time it simply said single. No custom message. No jokes. The original post was gone too. Deleting it does not undo the belief behind it. What surprised me most was how quickly my stress levels dropped. I slept better. I focused better at work. I was not waiting for subtle comparisons or side comments about leveling up. I realized I had been quietly auditioning for my own relationship, always proving I was enough, stable enough, ambitious enough, interesting enough. I do not want to compete for basic respect. By the end of the second week, the apartment felt fully reset. I rearranged the living room slightly, moved the couch, cleared out the second bedroom properly. It no longer felt like a shared space. It felt intentional. It has been a little over a month now. Jenna did what she said she would do. She moved quickly. Within 3 weeks, she was posting photos with a guy from her industry. Dinners at places she used to hint I should take her. Captions about alignment and growth. I saw it because a mutual friend showed me, not because I went looking. I felt nothing dramatic. No jealousy. No urge to compete. If anything, it confirmed the pattern. She was always scanning for better positioning. That is fine. That just is not how I approach relationships. A few days ago, she sent one final email. This time it was not defensive or sharp. It was reflective. She wrote that maybe she handled things poorly and that she did not expect me to actually walk away. She said most men would have argued harder. She said I surprised her. That part stood out to me. Most men would have argued harder. That was the core of it. She expected negotiation. She expected me to prove I was worth keeping. She did not expect me to take her words at face value and act accordingly. I did not respond to the email. Not because I hate her. Not because I am trying to punish her. But because the conversation already happened. She said she was settling. I said I was not. There is no productive follow-up to that. Since then, my life has gone back to its usual rhythm. Work, gym, dinner with friends. Quiet evenings without subtle tension. I am not rushing into dating. I am not trying to prove a point. I am just living at the pace I am comfortable with. If someone ever feels like they are settling for me, I hope they say it early. I will take them seriously the first time. I do not need to be someone's upgrade path. I would rather be alone than be the stable placeholder while someone keeps one eye on the exit. That is the whole story. I did not explode. I did not drag her online. I did not beg her to value me. I simply chose not to be settled for. And that has felt surprisingly peaceful.